you just have a dark background and then a bright light on your face that goes right past you. And bada boom, bada bing, you look like you've been Xeroxed. What is going on, all you lovely people? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mike O'Hora, and this is a lovely penguin. Welcome back to another set breakdown. Guys, we just got off of a sick song. It's J-Hope's debut song. Well, I guess it's not his debut song. It's the debut song from this album that he's putting out. Oh. It's the song More. It's from the album Jack in the Box. And, yeah, we just watched that video. It's super cool. Make sure that you go ahead and watch that if you haven't already, whether it be my reaction or just his own video too, because it's worth it. It was a great song. I really enjoyed it, and it had some cool set pieces. So let's dive right in and talk about those after you go ahead and sub. All right, thanks for subbing. Let's go. So opening us up onto this video, we got this gentleman right here. He's dropping off this box, which we will later find out is going to be holding the other set pieces inside of it. And, yeah, there's nothing too crazy going on for this shot. It's a regular hallway. I would like to imagine that they've just built this into a studio, and they already had this kind of up and running. However, for a shot like this, it wouldn't be too unlikely for them to shoot on a location, considering the fact it's just a hallway, and having to build a whole hallway just for a couple of shots, in my personal opinion, is not super worth it, especially when you can rent out a hallway for cheaper than to build it. However, I know that the budgets are wild and they can do what they want. They have all the money in the world, and yeah, so if they want to build a hallway, they can build a hallway. But yeah, for the most part, nothing's going to be crazy about this. It's going to be a pretty straightforward build. You're going to be putting up a bunch of flats with doors cut into them as well. You're putting on these trims that you're going to paint putting them onto the wall, nail gun them in, and then just cover that up and paint as well. And it's a pretty simple build. They also put a ceiling bit on there as well. So if they did build this, good job. So then we see our guy J-Hope in the room that he has been in at the start of the video. Here, it's a pretty regular looking set for the most part. It's supposed to be, I believe, supposed to be very mundane. It's supposed to be very like forgettable. You know, it's supposed to be kind of just like a bland, lived-in looking area. So you got just a regular couch. The color's not exactly popping. It's got this like kind of dull yellow wall color and like the teal door and stuff too. It's not exactly the craziest room. They got the wood floors in here as well, but the main thing we want to talk about here is the box. Actually, a box is very much a set piece that you need to bring to set. You have what they call the principal box. It's the go-to box that they're going to use for every different shot. So as you can see, it's nicely set up. It's been taken care of. It's the picture box, if you would. And yeah, it's also taped on there just about right and perfect so that it'll look good for the shot. As the video goes on, we get to see a little bit more of the room here as well. Another one that, like, the more I'm looking at it, the more it looks like it could very well be a actual room that they rented out somewhere. But I believe that they probably built this as well and just have it set up. And, yeah, as you can see, it's all kind of dull colors. It's supposed to be underwhelming. You also got a couple of amps over here, so it shows that he does his music and stuff. And, yeah, there's not all that much going on in this room in particular. Also, just a little side note, you get to see on the other side of the room, they got like a cabinet thing. I'm forgetting what these are called. Oh my gosh. It's like an armoire, but not an armoire. It's just a big open like closet thing. Then they also have a couple other bookshelves and stuff and like a desk. which all that stuff rentable. You can just rent it, bring it to set. Here's a better view. You can see the desk and all the stuff that's on it. Yeah, for the most part, it's nothing crazy. All this stuff is rentable, very easy to bring into a set, and yeah, very easy to get from a prop house. The reason I believe that this is most likely a set is because he literally walks through the door. You can actually see through the door into the background there, and that's the room still, but then he enters into the police station, I want to say. Or excuse me, the office, not police station. You're a goose. We know it's an office. But he enters into this office space, which for the most part, again, I'm just going to say this for what it is. There was no behind the scenes that I saw out there, so I'm really going off of what I think. And there's a couple different ways that you can do this, so I'll just break them down real quick for you. If this is somebody's actual house, if they have a room that's big enough, you can easily make it look like an office. It won't actually be an office. It'll be a room in somebody's house. However, it would allow for the set to kind of continue and for the camera to be able to continue through the shots as well. And if it was a set, then you just build two rooms next to each other, make one an office, make one a living room. Simple enough, you know? I still think that this was probably on a set, though, if I was a guessing man. But yeah, actually, a lot of the stuff that you see in these offices and stuff are really rentable. And for the most part, too, I've actually worked at a studio where they had a bunch of different sets already pre-built and ready for you to go. So if like you needed an office space or something like that, they had that kind of stuff. They had the materials you need there. So you didn't actually have to rent it from a prop house. You could just rent it from the studio itself. And they had all sorts of filing cabinets and desks and computer monitors and like even staplers and all that kind of stuff. The chairs and whatnot. And it made it a lot easier, but also a lot harder. Because then when we had to clear that room out, we had to move these big metal desks that weigh like a couple £100 each. And that was tiring. Tiring, to say the least. But yeah, for the most part, it's a pretty simple set here. The other thing that makes me believe that this is possibly a set is the fact that they have open halls. As you head towards this door, which would be like one of the main entrances to a building or the office that they're in, that you can go either way out. And for the most part, buildings typically aren't built that way, but a lot of the time sets will be built that way, where this back wall here will be built up really tall so that it looks like it fits from any angle that the camera would be shooting from. And yeah, you just kind of dress it up. You got the bulletin board over here. You got like these tiny little filing cabinets here, and this dude just reading in the background. But yeah, I would definitely believe this has got to be a set. But still, a big part of this, too, is the fact that there is so many things going on. A lot of the times, littler things and props that you might need, like binders or pens or envelopes or even just paper, stuff like that, will typically go. And this is also for the U.S. And this is also for videos that are a lot lower budget than these ones are. We'll just go to Target, we'll go to Walmart, we'll go wherever we need to go to get binders and pens and highlighters and pencils and markers and all that kind of stuff. And to be honest with you guys, more often than not, they just return it once we're done. A little industry secret. This one, this shot is actually really, really funny as well. And very easily done, too. If you have no idea what's going on in this shot, this gentleman is... he's standing up, right? But supposedly he's got his face pushed into the Xerox machine, the copier, and J-Hope is running his face, making photocopies of his face. And yeah, for the close-up shot, though, to make it look right and whatever, is as simple as just getting some plexiglass and just putting it up to a stand and securing it so that he can press his face into it. And then you're just going to press your face, and it makes you look all smushed. And you just have a dark background and then a bright light on your face that goes right past you. and bada boom, bada bing, you look like you've been Xeroxed. Yeah, so an easy little trick, but that is another thing that our department will typically handle. That would be partnered with the grips, where they would have the C-stands that would hold that in place, and then we'd bring in the plexiglass or whatever material they decided to use. They typically won't use glass because, God forbid, it shatters, he cuts his face open and loses an eye, yada, yada, yada. So plexiglass is definitely going to be the best bet for a shot like this. So this doesn't make sense right now, what you're looking at. It's just a brick wall. However, it leads us into our next shot here, where you get to see the awesome little bricks as it opens up into a hole where it looks like these guys are chilling inside of a garage. You can see they got like paint cans, they got a bunch of tool bin things here. They got some, looks like wire cutters, and a few other things. They got a little step ladder, a couple other tools in the back there as well. Like, this is definitely a garage band vibe that they're going for. But I particularly like the stone that they pass by, because we've talked about this kind of stuff in the past. This is that foam that we're talking about that you just spray paint over to make it look like concrete. A pretty simple build, and it just looks really cool when you do it. So there you go. But yeah, for this garage, this is another one that's really cool, where sometimes these guys, the musicians, will bring their own instruments. However, there always is the possibility that they need somebody else to bring instruments in, which you can rent instruments as well. Typically, though, they'll bring their own, so you don't have to worry about it. But for the most part, yeah, a lot of this stuff that's in here, it's just typical garage things. They're old tools. Very, very easy to rent from prop houses because they got loads of them. They got tons and tons of garage stuff because a lot of videos, a lot of movies, and a lot of television shows have garage scenes where they need this kind of stuff. So it is plentiful. So looking again at this hallway now, this is the same hallway from the gentleman walking in at the very beginning with the box. This is J-Hope coming out of his apartment and exploring, I suppose. And yeah, you can actually tell it's got the same kind of thing going on here at the very end here, where the walls don't go all the way to that back wall. There's actually space so you can leave out either side. And it's kind of hard to tell why that's the case, but you can kind of see how the doors aren't like even close to the same size, which means that door is further back than it looks. So just the little things that you can kind of notice and tell what's going on in these videos. And then realistically, I believe this is the last of the different sets that we really see throughout the video, but it's just a hospital room, a hospital bed, really. And it's funny too, because a lot of this stuff like isn't even really how a hospital would look. It's just the way that it looks on television and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot more different machines if you go to a real hospital. And obviously it's just they rented out the different things that they would need to make it look like a hospital bed. And it's funny because you don't really need all that much. But yeah, it's pretty funny to see. All this stuff, again, is things that you can rent from different prop houses. This one would typically be a medical specific prop house that you would go to in order to get this kind of stuff. But yeah, easy enough setup, easy enough build to do. And yeah, nothing too surprising, really. You just got to really act well. Oh, and in case you guys were wondering how they did this, they didn't actually use an x-ray machine. I had a hope, I'll say that, for the most part, because x-ray machines are poisonous with the more exposure that you use with those. So I would imagine they would have to be shooting for quite some time in front of this to actually get all the takes. So it would be too much of a health hazard for him to be in front of an x-ray machine. So this is most likely just digital graphics, I guess, digital animations and whatnot, where they actually used his face and then they just kind of like, I don't know how they do it with like Instagram filters or Snapchat filters or whatever, but it's essentially just like a little bit more in-depth filter that they put over his face here. So like you can see his eyes, you can actually see them like moving around and looking and going different ways. You can see his mouth and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, yeah, it's just like a filter, essentially, is what it is. But that has nothing to do with the art department either. Also, if you couldn't tell, as we fly through the different rooms and everything's frozen in place while it's like flying around, those are just animated in. Another one of those things that's kind of simple enough. However, when we come through to the office, no, sorry, the garage, we get all this glass here, right? We get all this glass, and then it freezes and falls. Now, I don't know if this is how they did it. I just know that this is a way that you can do this, and this would fall a lot more on the special effects team than the art team for it. However, what you can do, especially because the whole entire frame is already completely frozen, you can actually just have like a bunch of different people throw that glass up into the air, and then once it's at a good spot, the camera will take a freeze frame of that frame that's clear and it's good, and then they'll clean it up in production and post-production, excuse me, to make it look smooth and clean and crisp. And then when the video starts playing, all the glass falls, and that's how it would look like it was just stationary there and then drops. So that's one way that you can do it. I know we've done similar things to that with Zach at Zach King's videos. So I would like to say that's how they did it. I'm not 100% sure that's how. Also, that's all breakaway glass. It's sugar glass, essentially. It's going to be stuff that's safe to break and be around. Because if you're breaking real glass, I mean, there's a plethora of different safety hazards that can happen, such as like little particles going in your eyes, cutting you, breathing it in, getting in your mouth, all that kind of stuff, getting in your nose. It just is not good. So with the sugar glass, it can be a little bit sharp, but it's not going to be nearly as bad as real glass. Also, there's a shot where J-Hope, he breaks a bottle. That's also a breakaway bottle, too. Yeah. Also, it's cool. You can actually get those for, like, relatively cheap. Like, typically, the cheaper ones are going to be, like, the brown bottles and, like, the dark green bottles. And then as you get clearer and clearer, they're harder to make them look clear and stuff. And those ones are going to be the more expensive ones. So, like, he has, like, a crystal clear bottle when he's doing it. So that probably costs him a pretty penny. But, like, the cheaper ones, I think you can get them for, like, 20 bucks a piece or something like that. Like, relatively cheap, you know? I say relatively because you'd imagine it would be more, but it's not. So, yeah, guys, that is going to do it for this set breakdown video. It's a really cool set, and it's a really cool idea. It's a great video and a great, great song. I'll say this, for the most part, in terms of difficulty of making this video, not that bad. I'd definitely say it's one of the easier videos we've seen out of all the videos we've watched so far. But it's still a great video, and honestly, the song is such a freaking slapper that, yeah, it just makes up for it, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, guys, that will about do it. If you guys haven't subbed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. Please check out my Patreon as well. We got all sorts of bonus content, especially stuff for J-Hope coming up, so you're going to want to be a part of that as well. And other than that, guys, make sure you check out the Twitch and all the other links down below. I love you guys. Stay aggressively positive. Have a wonderful week. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye!